YouTube.
And shall I start?
Did you know you were going to be a YouTube phenomenon? Let's see. Let me take a look, make sure it's up and running.
1 month.
All right. We are ready to go.
Okay, it is 10:01 a.m. and I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Board of Directors of Friday, February 24th, 2023. Please note, this meeting, as you just heard, is live streamed on YouTube and recorded. Members of the public are encouraged to watch and listen to the meeting on YouTube or by dialing into 415-569-6446. I'll tell you again, then I'll repeat that as I always do. For the audio of this meeting, if you would like to provide public comment at today's meeting and have not done so already, please call 415-569-6446 and let the facilitator know you would like to provide public comment. I appreciate everyone's patience as we move through today's meeting. Madam Secretary, today we have an oath of office to conduct. I'll turn this back over to you to accomplish that. Please proceed.
Thank you, President Terrio. Supervisor Engardio, do you have the oath of office text before you?
I do.
All right, great. When you're ready, please go ahead and begin reciting the oath, beginning with I, Joel Engardio, do solemnly swear.
I, Joel Engardio, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter, and during such time as I hold the office of Director of the Golden Gate Bridge Highway and Transportation District.
Director Engardio, thank you and welcome to the district. President Terrio, I'm going to turn the meeting back over to you to continue.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Director Engardio, welcome. And do you have some things you want to say to us?
I just want to say it's an honor to serve on this board. I'm a member of the Board of Supervisors, and in my role, I always talk about creating our best San Francisco and working to fix a lot of things in our city on our side of the bridge. But it means a lot to me to have a role in the bridge itself because it's a gateway to our great city. And it's really the, I want the best part of San Francisco to be when you're driving on that bridge and entering our city.
Thank you, Director Engardio. And we'll have occasion to, well, we've met face-to-face before, I don't know if you recall, but we'll meet face-to-face again at some point next month, and I look forward to that. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Thank you. We'll start with Director Conroy, who's absent. Director Dorsey.
Present.
Engardio.
Present.
Garbarino.
Present.
Giudice.
Good morning and present.
Rosebowl.
Present.
Hernandez.
Here.
Maston.
Here.
Moulton Peters.
Here.
Parr.
Present.
Thank you. Rabbit.
Here.
Rodoni.
Here.
Safai. Absent. Snyder.
Here.
Stephanie is absent. Thier.
Here.
Second Vice President Hill.
Here.
First Vice President Cochran.
Here.
And President Terry.
And I'm here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Staff.
I was going to confirm staff really quickly since we can have everyone turn on their cameras one last time so our directors can see staff really quickly. Thank you. General Manager Dennis Mulligan.
Present.
Auditor Controller Joe Wire.
Yes.
Chief Engineer Eva Bauer-Furbish.
Present.
Thank you. Our attorney Kim Manolius.
Good morning.
Thank you. And we also have Madeline Chen on the line.
Good morning.
Good morning. Dave Rivera.
Good morning, present.
Thank you. Our Bus Division Manager Mona Babauta.
Good morning, present.
Thank you. And Administration and Development Kelly Hopper.
Good morning.
Thank you. I thought it would be nice for everybody to see the faces before we met in person again. Thank you. I'll turn it back to you.
And now, Director Engardio, you know some of the crew. Thanks to everyone for joining us this morning. And I'll ask for your continued patience as we go through today's agenda. I'd like to remind my colleagues, please mute your microphones and remember to unmute when we open up for director's discussion. We don't have anybody calling in by phone, do we, Amaret? No director? But if we end up,
we do have one.
well, we do have one. Okay, so I'll remind that director, please to use your mute button or *6 to unmute yourself. I'll ask for any questions or comments on items on the agenda. Click on the raise hand function on your device if you have a question, or press *9 for the raise hand function if joining by phone. If there are any questions, the secretary or I will call on you accordingly. If we missed your raised hand, please speak up. I'm going to give my standard disclaimer. There is a fairly busy street outside the window. It does occasionally get noisy. I do leave an open mic in order to be able to do my job here. And so you may get some background noise from time to time. I apologize for that. Following any discussion, we will take the appropriate roll call vote. If you are not speaking, please remember to mute your phones to minimize the background noise on today's meeting. Please follow along by referring to the page numbers located on the bottom right-hand corner of your meeting packet. Director Grossbull, please join us in our exciting rendition of the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, I pledge allegiance
To the flag.
Maybe if somebody else better take this from now. Sorry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hoorah.
Thank you, Mike. I had too much going on.
Okay. And thank you, Director Grossbull, for getting us started at least. Before we move on to public comment on our item 4, Madam Secretary, how many callers do we have?
So far we have 3. Justine will probably want to poll at the end of the 3 speakers, just in case everyone's joined since the start of the meeting. So I believe we will move on to agenda item number 4 for public comment for any and all items on today's agenda. And if anyone wishes to speak on an item on the agenda, please speak to it now. Justine will assist today to moderate our public comment line. Justine, go ahead and introduce our first speaker.
Good morning. Thank you. Our first speaker this morning is Kimberly Renee Gamboa. Kimberly Renee?
Good morning. My name is Kimberly Renee Gamboa, and I am holding one of my favorite photos of my 18-year-old son, Kyle Emerson Gamboa, smiling from ear to ear in his high school class picture. Kyle jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge on September 20th, 2013 at 11:45 a.m. As the construction of the suicide deterrent comes closer to completion, a sense of peace and hope fills my heart in a world of complete chaos. I will always have conflicting emotions of having a suicide deterrent in place prior to my son's death, but I am grateful that the net is now in place where he jumped at light pole 77. Thank you for opening your hearts to begin and continue on this journey of courage and compassion for humanity in constructing the Golden Gate Bridge suicide deterrent and saving human beings during the lowest point of their lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gamboa. Ms. Bach, the next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Dave Rohde. Dave, go ahead. Mr. Rohde?
Board members, managers, and staff, good morning. My name is Dave Rohde. I work with the Bay Area Climate Reality Project and the San Francisco Climate Emergency Coalition. First, I'd like to congratulate the Golden Gate Bridge District's newest board member, San Francisco Supervisor Joel Engardio. It so happens that Mr. Engardio is also my new district supervisor. He was kind enough to meet with me and my climate policy colleagues last week. One of the first items I sent as a follow-up to our meeting was the Golden Gate Bridge District's 2019 Climate Emergency Resolution. Pursuant to that resolution, I spoke last month about the district's zero emissions bus rollout plan. After I mentioned your plan to buy 23 new diesel buses next year, Mr. Mulligan informed us that due to the decline in ridership, that purchase may be delayed for a while. As a clean transit advocate, I took that as good news merely in the fact that at the very least, you're postponing the purchase of more diesel buses. But I'm also aware of the huge problem of declining public transportation use throughout the Bay Area. I know that many transit systems are currently in a budget crisis with ridership decline. I applaud the new initiatives that were discussed at this morning's Transportation Committee meeting that I listened into. And because first and foremost, we need public transit systems to thrive. And I do see encouraging fiscal news at the state level. The California state budget passed last year includes $1 billion to the California Energy Commission to support zero emissions vehicles, including money for transit buses. The IRA climate bill will continue to add federal dollars to that funding. The other good news, the Angel Island Ferry is going electric. The best news about that plan is that it's being done with the support of PG&E's new initiatives to set up recharging power stations at the ferry's terminals. I know that your commuter ferries cannot go electric until the charging station infrastructure is in place, and I know that until now, PG&E has not shown any eagerness to create that infrastructure. Hopefully, PG&E is moving closer to being able to accomplish that for you. A few months ago, thanks to a thorough presentation by your Ferry Division Director, Michael Hoffman, we learned all about the new electric ferry capabilities. Since they seem very close to achieving the commuter ferry needs of the Golden Gate Bridge District, it's definitely time to engage PG&E on their new charging station initiative. Of course, I do recall Mr. Mulligan talking about a joint Bay Area Transit Agency task force looking into charging infrastructure for both electric ferries and buses, which I also take as good news. Look, I know I come here every month expressing impatience with your transition to an all-electric transit system. And I keep reminding you of your climate emergency resolution. I'm simply asking that you do your best. Don't stop thinking about the ways that the Golden Gate Bridge District can achieve zero emissions as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rohde. Ms. Bach, the third speaker, please.
Our next speaker is David Pilpel. David, go ahead.
You can hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great, thanks. So it appears that there is now a full 19-member board. I hope the board will continue to be filled with 19 members. It's been a long time since that's been the case, and now we just need to get up to 100% attendance at all meetings. All right, one thing at a time. So on the minutes, page 45, I believe it was not such a long meeting. I think the adjournment was at 11:23 a.m. and not p.m. I know some of the meetings seem long, but hopefully we're not meeting until 11:23 at night. Great work otherwise by district staff, including District Secretary Amaret's small but mighty staff. On item 8B or 8B1, I assume that has been revised to not exceed 914,908 based on yesterday's committee discussion. On 10A, although I live not far from the United Irish Cultural Center, where I understand the meeting may be held next month, I think that was referenced in a meeting yesterday. It may be easier for me to just continue to attend remotely. I'll see how things are a month from now. I don't know what that is. On item 10B. Right. On item 10B, thank you. On item 10B, I support that item, and I look forward to reports on transit service adjustments in the monthly general manager's report going forward. And finally, thank you for listening to my comments yesterday and this morning, and I will be finalizing my letter on fares today to get that in by the 4:30 deadline. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pilpel. Ms. Bach, you want to poll again to see if we have anybody else?
I would like to poll again. Thank you for your patience. Just give me one moment.
Sure.
While she's doing that, I want to acknowledge that Director Conroy did join us before public comment. I just didn't get a chance to acknowledge her. Thank you and welcome, Director Conroy.
Amaret, were you looking for a response there?
No, I was just welcoming you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. President Terrio, we do have one remaining speaker, and that will be Shane Weinstein.
Thank you. Please tell Mr. Weinstein to go ahead.
Shane, go
Hello, President Terrio and all the directors. Good morning. A special welcome on behalf of all the active and retired bus operators at Golden Gate Transit. Welcome to Directors Molden Peters, Director Engardio, and Director Dorsey as well. We have some pretty heavy things to deal with here at the bus division. And I look forward to working with everybody. And we'll be reaching out to you soon. Everybody have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weinstein. Ms. Bach, you want to make one last run at it?
We have no additional speakers this morning. Thank you.
Thank you then. As is customary, General Manager Mulligan, you have anything you want to say with regard to the public testimony?
Just want to thank the speakers. I cannot thank Kimberly Renee Gamboa and her family enough for their advocacy for the suicide barrier and their thoughtful, kind words, and we're excited the barrier is being built. Mr. Rohde is a tireless advocate. We appreciate his advocacy. We appreciate his reminders, and we look forward to continue to work with him. Mr. Pilpel is exceedingly thorough. It's much, much appreciated. And Mr. Weinstein does a fabulous job of representing our bus operators, and we're grateful to have him as part of our team. So I just want to thank all the speakers.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Mulligan. That concludes public comment for items on today's agenda. Madam Secretary, the next item on the agenda then, please.
Thank you. The next item is item number 5, and that's to approve the consent calendar, including the approval of minutes from the committee and board meetings in January, as well as ratification of previous actions by the auditor controller. The consent calendar is located on pages 5 to 47 of your packet. And I will note that the last board meeting did not take 13 hours. So I thank Mr. Pilpel for finding that typo of mine.
Mr. Supervisor Engardio, if you haven't experienced an 11:23 finish to a Board of Supervisors meeting yet, I guarantee you that awaits you. Before we take our vote, are there any questions from board members on the consent calendar? Yes, Director Engardio.
Should I recuse myself of this vote since I was not on the board, or I'm not sure what the protocol?
Sure. Yes, that's proper. That's appropriate. So I will make sure that when you get to you, we'll recuse you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other directors with comments on the consent calendar? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
There is a motion and there is a second. Madam Secretary, you have those?
I have those. I'm jotting them down.
Very good. Then let's do a roll call vote.
Thank you very much. So the first and second on item number 5, we're going to start with Director Conroy.
Aye.
Dorsey.
Aye.
Engardio's a recusal. Garbarino.
Aye.
Giudice.
Yes.
Grosboll.
Aye.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Maston.
Aye.
Molten Peters.
Yes.
Parr.
Aye.
Rabbit.
Aye.
Rodoni.
Aye.
Safai is absent. Snyder.
Aye.
Stephanie is absent. Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 16 ayes and 1 recusal.
16 ayes. The motion passes. Madam Secretary, the next item, please.
We're going to move on to item number 6A, and that's the report of the general manager. And that staff report can be found on pages 49 to 57. And Dennis is here to present his report. Dennis, go ahead.
Thank you, Amaret, members of the board, members of the public and staff. My written report is before you. I will highlight a couple items. Principally, I'll start with travel in the Golden Gate corridor. Travel in the Golden Gate corridor remains depressed as compared to pre-pandemic levels, which does affect our finances. Prior to the pandemic, tolls were the district's largest source of revenue, funding bridge operations, as well as serving as the principal or largest funding for our bus and ferry service. Before the pandemic, transit fares were our second largest source of operating revenues after tolls. While district operations are continuing, funded with one-time federal COVID relief monies, absent a return of travel in the Golden Gate Corridor, the district is facing a fiscal cliff when the federal COVID relief money is fully spent. For perspective, for the week of February 5th, which is highlighted in my report, bridge traffic was down about 15% compared to the same week pre-pandemic. Overall ridership was down on our buses by about 58%, so we only carried about 42% of our normal bus ridership. And our ferry ridership was down about 55%. We carried about 45% of our normal ferry ridership. So remembering that tolls and fares are our two largest source of revenues before the pandemic, that presents some challenges. Unfortunately, we're not alone in this predicament. Other Bay Area transit operators who rely on either tolls, parking, or fare box revenues are facing a fiscal cliff too. Noteworthy examples are the two largest transit operators in the Bay Area, BART and SFMTA or Muni. A bit of good news is that the legislature is cognizant of our challenges, though there are no easy solutions. The legislature has created a Senate Select Committee on Bay Area Public Transit. This select committee is chaired by Senator Scott Wiener, former San Francisco supervisor and former Bridge board member and huge transit advocate. Membership also includes Senators Bill Dodd, Stephen Glazer, Mike McGuire, Nancy Skinner, and Asha Wahab. So this select committee will address the unique challenges and opportunities facing Bay Area transit, including the fiscal cliff and potential funding solutions, but also more broadly, decarbonization, regional coordination, homelessness, and other issues that may affect various transit agencies in the Bay Area. I just want the board and the public to know that your staff is working with our fellow transit agencies here in the Bay Area, with the Metropolitan Transportation Commission staff and the California Transit Association staff on building a coalition to seek solutions for the fiscal cliff. And we will keep you abreast of those. What we're seeking is some sort of bridge or funding to help close a gap for a couple of years till things settle down into what the new normal may be. It's important to acknowledge that our success as an entity is tied to downtown San Francisco. During the morning commute, bridge traffic is still down 30%, and that's when bus and ridership has not come back, is during the morning commute. It's just a small fraction of what it was before. So we are working very closely with San Francisco in efforts to help reopen and re-energize and revitalize downtown San Francisco. The important thing to remember is historically, you never want to bet against downtown San Francisco. It is the Phoenix and it always rises again. Moving on, there's many other things in my staff report. I will highlight just one more, and that is the Employee of the Month. For the newest director, we have an Employee of the Month committee that's comprised of staff, not management, that selects one of their own each month to be recognized for extraordinary service. In this month, the Employee of the Month committee selected Patrol Officer Jessica Black in the Bridge Division as the Employee of the Month for February of 2023. She's recognized for her initiative and quick thinking and life-saving efforts on an incident that occurred on September 20th, 2022. She was involved with a welfare check on the bridge, helping or checking in on a potentially despondent person when a bicycle accident occurred near the south tower of the bridge. On that day in the accident, an individual was not breathing when they lost control of their bike and fell on the sidewalk. They were unconscious. She was able to bring the cyclist back to consciousness and regular breathing with assistance from other staff. Officer Black and the roadway services personnel that rendered first aid until the San Francisco Fire Department arrived on the scene. And that cyclist was transported to SF General for further medical treatment. Those involved, including that cyclist's friends, were very thankful and appreciative and impressed with the ability and knowledge of Officer Black. Her colleagues commented that her quick response and decision-making saved that bicyclist's life, and are happy to be able to nominate her as the Employee of the Month for February of 2023. So we want to congratulate her. As background, she was born in Santa Rosa. She completed her early education years and then attended Santa Rosa Junior College, earning an associate degree in Administration of Justice and an Associate of Arts degree in Social and Behavioral Science. She's been a resident of Cotati since 2009 and has two children, aged 15 and 10. In her free time, Officer Black enjoys spending time with her family and friends, going to the gym, mountain bike riding, and hiking with her dog. Once again, our hats off to Employee Patrol Officer Jessica Black. That concludes my report, and I'm available to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. My compliments to Ms. Black. Do any of the directors have comments or questions on the general manager's report?
Mike, I did have one question. This is Dick.
Please go ahead, Director Grossball.
Dennis, and maybe this, I mean, I don't know if you know the number offhand, but maybe when we have the next month, how many, do you have a sense as to how many positions we have right now that are unfilled, and partly because of our budget concerns and lack of revenue, we haven't replaced people who've left or retired?
We have about 20% of all positions in the district vacant. We have been hiring a lot the last 6 months. We no longer have a hiring freeze, but we don't have as much customer demand for our service, so we don't need to fully staff all of our positions. We are down about 100 bus operators. That's the biggest group of employees that we are down compared to pre-pandemic levels, but only less than 20% of our commute bus customers have returned. But we do have a class of bus operators underway. We have a pre-apprenticeship program with a local junior college that has 14 enrollees currently. But I will provide I provide quarterly reports with much more detail. But we do have a significant number of vacancies, but we have been doing an extensive amount of hiring in recent months.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other directors with questions or comments for General Manager Mulligan? I'm seeing none, Madam Secretary. Are you seeing any?
I see no hands up.
Then it's time for the next item.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to item 6B, and that's the report of the attorney. Kim Manoli's staff report can be found on page 59. Kim's on the line to provide his report. Kim, go ahead.
Thanks, Amber. Excuse me. As Amber said, my written report's before you. I'm happy to take any questions, and just good news, no closed session today.
Very good. We look forward to that. Are there questions for Mr. Manolius on his report that has been sent to you all? I'm seeing none again, Madam Secretary. Do you see any?
I see no hands up.
All right, then on to the next item.
All right, we're going to move on to item 6C, and that's the report of the chief engineer. The report can be found in the Building and Operating Committee meeting packet as agenda item number 9, and Ava Barr-Furbish is here to present her report. Ava, go ahead. Your turn.
Thank you, Amoret. President Torio, members of the board, my written report is before you, and I would like to highlight 3 projects that are reported in my engineer's report. The first one is the suicide deterrent, and I think important news is that to date, we have 2.2 miles of the net already installed on the bridge. The total length of the net that we will have on this bridge when the project is completed, it's 3.1 miles. So in all, 2/3 is already attached to the bridge structure. So currently the net has been installed on both sides of the bridge, of the suspension bridge, from the concrete pylon next to the 4th point up to the North Tower, and then on the west side of the North Approach Viaduct. Work continues on the access system on that northern portion of the suspension bridge north of North Tower. That access is necessary for the contractor to start installation of the net on the west side of that portion of the bridge. Although the net is installed for most the length of the suspension bridge, the gaps are still in existence, especially at the main towers. So what's going on there? Around the North Tower, the contractor completed installation of all the work access, and right now they're proceeding with the installation of the brackets that will serve for the attack, that will facilitate attachment of the net supports to the North Tower. And also work progresses on the installation of the work access at the South Tower. So the next project that I would like to mention is our very important administration building elevator improvement project. And I'm pleased to say that as of February 10th, the contractor received the elevator control panel equipment, and this panel has been installed, and right now the contractor is working on wiring connections between the panel and the 3 levels of the floors in the building. However, there is one caution with respect to the to us being able to use the elevator. We anticipated that construction work will be done in March, but then what has to happen, this elevator has to be accepted by the state. And whenever a new elevator is installed in California, a series of tests are conducted to ensure the equipment works as designed. If the elevator passes these assessments, the California Department of Industrial Relations issues a permit. So knowing that there may be a backlog of this time of reviews in this department, we hope that elevator may be clear for use in April, but we should also anticipate to have our plan B ready if this slips into May. And finally, we have this incredible wind event, and especially wind event at the bridge. And I think this brings to forefront the importance of the wind retrofit project, that the wind retrofit is already completed and it served its purpose. Very interesting thing that this type of events where wind exceeds 60 miles an hour in the past, it triggered the closure of the bridge. So it's a combination not only of the strength of the wind, but also its direction. And if the prevailing wind happens from the west, north, and so on, and reaches 65, 68 miles an hour, before the wind retrofit, we would have to close the bridge because our wind tunnel studies indicated that the main span in this situation could become unstable. So although we have to still mitigate the sinking of the bridge, I think it is very important that we improve resiliency of our bridge. With respect to the clips that will mitigate, decrease the level of noise that can be created by the new bridge railing, we have progress. We were able to receive acceptable prototype of the clip and the paint chip. So with this, the contractor is proceeding with the fabrication of initial quantity of the clips. What we want to do is to have that initial quantity tested during installation, just to make sure that before we have the full quantity of couple thousands of them, we eliminate all the bugs. So with this, I'll be happy to answer any question the board may have for me.
Thank you, Ms. Bauer-Furbush. Are there directors with questions or comments for Ms. Bauer-Furbush? Yes, Director Grosswald.
Ava, is the, I hate to put you on the spot on this, but is the anticipated completion date of the suicide deterrent system still in late 2023?
So the majority of the net, with few gaps, and I will explain what those gaps will be completed by the end of this year. What happens is that another work that has to be done under this project is installation of the travelers, and the contractor will leave in place about 100-foot gaps near the towers. However, in those locations, we have our construction fencing. So the situation will be somewhat mitigated. And we also considering depends how these gaps overlap with the construction fencing. We may extend by about 50 feet, so on. But to answer, I think your question, Director Grosbell, was about the net completion, right?
Yes.
So yes, majority will be installed by the end of this year.
And we've always anticipated those travelers would be done later.
Yes.
And these gaps, that fencing would be up really then for quite a while until those travelers are done.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other directors with questions or comments for Ms. Bauer-Furbush on her report? I will say that when I saw your report, Ms. Bauer-Furbush, saying that the elevator might be completed in March, I was all excited, thinking we might actually get to meet in the district's boardroom when we finally had to meet in person. I completely forgot about the state inspectors and the amount of time involved in that. Madam Secretary, are you seeing any hands up, apart from Director Grosbell, who should take us down? Are you seeing any hands up still from directors to ask questions or offer comments on Ms. Bauer-Furbush's report?
I see no others, and I lowered Director Grosbell's hand.
Very good. Then let's move along to the next item on the agenda.
All right, we're going to move on to item number 8, since there are no other reports under item number 7 to provide. Item number 8A is a report of the Building and Operating Committee meeting of yesterday, Thursday, February 23rd. That summary of recommendations for this meeting is found on page 63 of your packet.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Colleagues, the action item under 8A was discussed at yesterday's Building and Operating Committee meeting before coming before you today for action. Chair Garbarino. Please start your report.
Thank you, President Theriault. We had a lot of thoughtful dialogue and questions at yesterday's meeting on the actions I will be presenting to the board. We're excited to see this first item coming forward. So without further delay, I would like to present item 8A1 to approve award of contract number 2022 B084 Suicide Deterrent System Rescue Net Training Net to Valentine Corporation of San Rafael, California, in the amount of $487,505. Establish also a 15% construction contingency for the contract in the amount of $73,126, and excuse me, increase the fiscal year 2022-2023 Bridge Division capital budget for project number 2321, Suicide Deterrent System Rescue Training Net, in the amount of $101,169 in concurrence with the Finance Auditing Committee and as detailed in the staff report. And I so move.
Thank you, Garbarino, and so, Chair Garbarino, and so we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Couple of possible seconds there, Madam Secretary. Any questions for comments from board members on this item? I see none, Madam Secretary. If you see none, let's have a roll call vote.
Thank you. I see none, so I will start with a roll call vote on item 8A1, starting with Director Conroy.
Aye.
Dorsey.
Aye.
Engardio.
Aye.
Garbarino.
Aye.
Giudice.
Yes.
Grosbell.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Maston.
Aye.
Moulton Peters.
Yes.
Parr.
Aye.
Rabbit.
Aye.
Rodoni. Safai. Absent. Snyder.
Aye.
Stephanie is absent. Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Theriault.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 17 ayes.
17 ayes. The motion passes. Director Thier, I think you have a request to recuse yourself. If you do, go ahead, please.
Yes, I do. Thank you, President Theriault. I have a potential conflict of interest on board agenda item AA2, and I would like Emaret to take me away and bring me back when you're finished.
And a whoosh, and you're gone.
All right, so we're ready to go ahead. Chair Garbarino, please continue your report then.
Thank you. I would like to present item 8A2 to authorize execution of the first addendum to the 6th Amendment to to Professional Services Agreement number 2011B2, Golden Gate Bridge Physical Suicide Deterrent System with HNTB Corporation in an amount not to exceed $66,000 for engineering support services during construction of the rescue net. And establish a 10% contingency for the addendum in the amount of $6,600 as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Thank you, Chair Garbarino. We have another motion from you. Is there a second?
Second.
And there is a second. Madam Secretary, a roll call vote, please. Oh, pardon me, I should ask, are there any questions or comments from board members? Not that there usually are on this item. And again, I'm not seeing any. So again, Madam Secretary, if you see none, let's go ahead with the roll call vote.
Thank you. Voting on item 8A2 with a first and second, starting with Director Conroy.
Aye.
Dorsey.
Aye.
Engardio.
Aye.
Garbarino.
Aye.
Giudice.
Yes.
Grosboll.
Aye.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Meston.
Aye.
Moulton Peters.
Yes.
Parr.
Aye.
Rabbit.
Aye.
Rodoni.
Aye.
Safai is absent. Snyder.
Aye.
Stephanie is absent. Thier is not in the room. Thank you. Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 16 ayes.
16 ayes. The motion passes. Can we bring Director Thier back in?
She's back.
Okay, very good. Then Chair Garbarino, if you have more, please continue.
Thank you. I would like to present item 8A3 to approve award of contract number 2022B104, Golden Gate Bridge Toll Plaza Administration Building Door and Window Rehabilitation to Pinguelo Construction of Fairfield, California, in the amount of $220,000 and establish a 15% construction contingency for the contract in the amount of $33,000 as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Thank you, Chair Garbarino. You have provided us another motion. Is there another second?
Second.
There's a second. Are there questions or comments from board members on item 8A3? I hear some throat clearing, but I see no hands. So, Madam Secretary, if you see no hands, let's go with another roll call vote, please.
Thank you. I see no hands. Oh, I do see a hand. Director Hernandez has her hand up.
Director Hernandez, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Sorry about that. I couldn't find the button. Just for the record, I just wanted, for the benefit of colleagues who are not able to attend the meeting yesterday, there was some detailed discussion on this item. And it brings to my mind at least a concern for this particular item. The detail was that there were two bidders that came in on this potential award, and the difference between the two bids was some $168,000 on a contract. And it just sort of brought up some flags for me. So I did ask staff to, and that could be for any number of reasons. This is not a huge contract, but as you can see, the awarded bid that we're looking at, the potential award today is for $220,000. This bid came in about 46% under the other bid that was presented. There could be any number of reasons why those numbers were so different. Could be because of contractors' business decision in terms of their capacity to do the work. Could be because there was a different advantage related to another contractor and their licensing. Could be because someone missed something in the bid process and maybe didn't fully evaluate the bid correctly. Or we could speculate to a great extent on what actually happened to create that vast difference. But I think the bigger issue for me is that it's important for the district to monitor all bids to make sure that and all work to the ultimately awarded contractors and make sure that the contractors are understanding the bid process correctly, that they are getting as much information as they need in order to submit a fair bid that includes responsible intent to meet the law when it comes to prevailing wage and other public works measures, and also that the district continue to be stringent or increase the level of stringency with regard to monitoring contracts to make sure that contractors are performing, meeting the specifications required in the bid, providing a good product for the district for the money that we are spending, in many cases, the public money that we're spending, and to monitor that the workers are being paid appropriately. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Hernandez. Director Thier, I see your hand up.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to echo Director Hernandez's comments. They were so eloquent that I have nothing to add, but I just wanted to join in on those comments.
Thank you, Director Thier. Any other directors with comments on this item? I see none. Madam Secretary, do you see any?
I don't see any other hands up.
Then let's proceed with the roll call vote.
Thank you. We do have a first and a second voting on item 8A3, starting with Director Conroy.
Aye.
Dorsey.
Aye.
Engardio.
Aye.
Garbarino.
Aye.
Giudice.
Yes.
Grosboll.
No.
Hernandez.
No.
Maston.
Aye.
Moulton Peters.
Yes.
Parr.
Aye.
Rabbit.
Aye.
Rodoni.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran. Do we lose First Vice President Cochran?
I will tell you that the internet's been going in and out. I don't know whether it extends up to him, but I know I lost mine.
I
don't
do
see
believe
him.
I don't see him. Okay. First Vice President Cochran's absent and President Terrio.
I will join Director Grossball in being grouchy as I did yesterday and say no.
Okay. So we have 13 ayes and 3 noes.
13 ayes, the measure passes. Chair Garbarino, what else do you have for us?
It's one other item, thank you. My last item is to present item 8A4 to authorize execution of the 7th Amendment to Professional Services number 2018B-075, Golden Gate Bridge Physical Suicide Deterrent System and Wind Retrofit Suicide Deterrent Net System Fabrication Shop Inspection Services with David Engineering LLC for continuation of the Suicide Deterrent Net System Fabrication Inspection Services through December of 2023 in amount not to exceed $94,000 and increase the fiscal year 2022-2023 Bridge Division capital budget for project number 1526, Golden Gate Bridge Suicide Deterrent System construction in the amount of $94,000 in concurrence with the Finance Auditing Committee and as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Thank you again for your motion, Chair Garbarino. Is there a second?
Our second.
There's a second. Are there questions or comments from board members on Chair Garbarino's item? I see none. Madam Secretary, do you see any?
I do not see any hands up.
Then let's have another roll call vote.
All right, voting on item 8A4 with the first and second, starting with Director Conroy.
Aye.
Dorsey.
Aye.
Engardio.
Aye.
Garbarino.
Aye.
Giudice.
Yes.
Grosboll.
Aye.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Maston.
Aye.
Moulton Peters.
Yes.
Parr.
Aye.
Rabbit.
Aye.
Rodoni.
Aye.
Sefai is absent. Snyder.
Aye.
Stephanie is absent. Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
Welcome back, First Vice President Cochran
Yes.
and President Terrio.
Yes,
Thank you. You have 17 ayes.
17 ayes. That motion passes. Chair Garbarino, do you have anything else for us?
No, thank you, Mr. President. That concludes my report.
Thank you so much. Madam Secretary, next item on the agenda, please.
Thank you. We're going to move on to item 8B, and that's the report of the Finance Auditing Committee meeting of Thursday, February 23rd. And that summary recommendation for this meeting is on page 65 of your packet.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Colleagues, once again, the item under 8B1 was well discussed at yesterday's Finance Auditing Committee meeting. Before coming before you today for action, Chair Rabbit, it's your turn to report.
Great. Thank you very much, President Terrio. I'd like to thank Kelly Vitale and staff involved in monitoring the marine insurance market to ensure the district obtains the best premium pricing available, which came in under the original estimated total premium. Got to thank our friends at the Steamship Club. Even though we won't be able to visit, the insurance pool did save us, I believe, well over $160,000. So very appreciative of the work of staff and the work of the pool to make sure that we brought the best forward for the district. So with that, the Finance Auditing Committee recommends the approval of item 8B1, approving renewal of the district's marine insurance program as detailed in the staff report relative to the district's protection and indemnity exposures, hull and machinery exposure, vessel pollution exposures, marine general liability exposures, as well as the excess marine general liability insurance program for the renewal package totaling $914,908 effective February 20th, 2023, and I so move.
Thank you for the motion, Chair Rabbit. Don't anybody tell the Steamship Club that we run diesel boats and not steamships. There's a motion. Isn't there?
I'll second that
There's
motion.
a second, a couple of possible seconds. Are there questions or comments apart from my silly one from board members on item 8B1?
I'm certainly glad we clarified that before we went on yesterday.
Is that why we can't visit the club?
We'll deal with that item later. But are there any other questions or comments from board members on item 8B1? I see none, Madam Secretary, again. What do you see?
I see no hands up.
Then let's have a roll call vote.
Thank you. We're voting on item 8B1, starting with Director Conroy.
Aye.
Dorsey.
Aye.
Engardio.
Aye.
Garbarina.
Aye.
Giudice.
Yes.
Grosbold.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Maston. Oh, we might have lost Director Maston this time. There are definitely internet trolls that are going through this meeting.
Up north, we're having a hard time.
Okay, Director Maston is absent. Director Moulton Peters.
Yes.
Parr.
Aye.
Rabbit.
Aye.
Verdoni.
Aye.
Safai is absent. Snyder.
Aye.
Stephanie is absent. Thier.
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 16 ayes.
16 ayes. That motion passes. Chair Rabbit, I think you had an unusually easy day for the Finance and Auditing Committee yesterday. Do you have anything further to report?
No, you're absolutely correct, Mr. President. We did have a light day, and that does conclude my report.
Thank you, Chair Rabbit. Madam Secretary, next item on the agenda.
Thank you. We're going to move on to item 8C, and that's the report of the Transportation Committee meeting of Friday, February 24th this morning. And that summary of recommendations for the meeting is found on page 67 of your packet.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Once again, item 8C was discussed at this morning's meeting of the Transportation Committee before coming before you for your action today. Chair Hill, please begin your committee's report.
Thank you. I would like to present item 8C1 to adopt the findings of Title VI equity analysis as attached to and detailed as a staff report for the establishment of Route 114 as regular service and adopt Route 114 as regular Golden Gate Transit service as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
There is a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Moulton Peters.
There's a second from Director Moulton Peters. Do we have any directors who wish to comment on this matter? Yes, Director Thier.
Yes, I just wanted to comment that I had made a comment in the committee. I understand that the alignment from along Tiburon Boulevard was not put in, but once that the service is, if service is reinstated during the day on the ferry, I would hope that that alignment would come back, and that was along Tiburon Boulevard. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Thier. Any other directors with comments on this matter? Once again, I see none, and Madam Secretary, if you see none, let's do a roll call vote.
Thank you. I see no other hands up. For the hand, and we're voting on 8C1 with the first and second, starting with Director Conroy.
Aye.
Dorsey.
Aye.
Ingardio.
Aye.
Garbarino.
Aye.
Giudice.
Yes.
Grosbull.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Maston.
Aye.
Moulton Peters.
Yes.
Carr.
Aye.
Rabbit.
Aye.
Rodoni.
Aye.
Safai is absent. Snyder.
Aye.
Stephanie is absent. Thier.
Aye.
First, second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Theriault.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 17 ayes.
17 ayes. Once again, the motion passes. Chair Hill, do you have anything further to report?
Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chair Hill. Madam Secretary, let's go on with the next item.
Thank you. There are no addresses to the board under agenda item number 9, and we're going to move on to agenda item number 10A relative to conducting remote committee and board meetings. And before you seeking the board's final approval to adopt a resolution to allow us to conduct our February meetings remotely, namely these meetings we're having now, in accordance with Assembly Bill 361, and until the governor's sunset of the state of emergency a few days away on February 28th. So following this final action, we will return to in-person meetings for the March 23rd and 24th meetings at the United Irish Cultural Center in San Francisco. And I'll be sure to communicate this location to everyone well before the meeting. The other thing I'd like to add, based on Chief Engineer Bauer's Bush's report, is I do have a plan B, C, D, and E just in case. And so I will communicate that as things start to unravel and unfurl before us. Okay.
Let's hope they don't unravel, that they just unfurl. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Are there questions or comments from board members on item 10A? I will make a personal request, and I know you're going to have a lot to pack into the Irish Cultural Center, but if it could include a filtering machine or two, an air filtering machine or two, that'd make me a good deal more comfortable.
Will do. And we will, we do plan on accommodating the public remotely, just to make it Mr. Pilpel's point, just in case.
Mr. Pilpel will be grateful. Director Hernandez.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say thank you very much to our Chief Engineering Officer, Ava Bauer, for, I know she's been trying to do somersaults to get the elevator to happen. There's just circumstances beyond anyone's control that has delayed that, and also to recognize Amaret, our district secretary, who is also continues to do somersaults in many ways, but in this case managed to get us the Irish Cultural Center. And I look forward to meeting with all of my colleagues, all of you all, in person again. I think it really changes the dynamic, and it enhances our communication, and it's just a more human way to conduct business. So I look forward to that. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Director Hernandez. I see Ms. Bauer-Furbush put her hand up. Maybe something to add.
Yes, I want to mention that we have purchased several hospital-grade air purifiers. I mean, they are at the level of targeting killing bacteria and viruses. So we will bring them to the Irish Community Center for our meeting.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Some of us are immunologically challenged. Are there other directors with comments on this matter? Then, is there a motion on item 10A? Oh, I'm sorry. Was there a comment, Director Thier?
It was just a question about whether we will be wearing masks or no masks, or whether that's been decided.
As the spirit moves you, there is no public health order that requires the wearing of masks, but if someone feels more comfortable wearing a mask, we encourage them to do so.
Thank you for that. Director Snyder.
Yeah, and we talked about this in another meeting, and I guess my understanding, because I had just got over I thought the pandemic is over, still getting over it. So if I've looked a little pasty in the last few meetings, it's because I just got through COVID. But in talking about that and talking about some of the council, I guess if we do have a situation where somebody comes down with any kind of disease, that's the way the law's adjusted now, they is an accommodation for directors or other public agencies, but it's very limited in scope. And I guess that would be to, I don't know, Dennis or.
That's correct. If someone is ill and they can't attend a meeting because they're ill, state law recently enacted does allow a provision for that person to participate remotely if there's a vote of the body to allow them to participate remotely. There's limitations on how often you could do that and how many times. But if someone were ill, it does provide that flexibility, but it is rather narrow and rather limited.
Thank you. That was good information for me to find out the other day.
Does that vote have to take place on the day the person is seeking to not participate, or can it be done in advance?
If someone is unable to attend a meeting due to an illness, the board can vote that day to excuse them. So it can be as late as the day of.
I thought my information is that there has to be needs to be, or there could be an accommodation made, like Zoom, but then the public also has to be accommodated in the same manner or fashion.
I believe the secretary has told us that we will be accommodating the public in that fashion, and I'm sure she will provide a little bit of information to directors on the on this possible accommodation for directors who are ill when she sends out the notice of location for the Irish Cultural Center meeting. Director Parr, you did have a hand up.
I did. My question was also the same as Director Grossball's. How far ahead do you have to note? Like, could I, if at 7 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and I've gotten the long-term COVID, which it sounds like you may have had, Chris, can I call in that morning if I'm not better, or do I have to announce it ahead of time? But I got the answer, I think, and I trust that between Kim and Amaret, they'll make it right.
Thank you, Director Parr. Any other directors with comments or questions on this item? Okay, I don't think we had. Do we have a motion yet? I don't think we did. I asked for one, but I didn't hear one. That's right. So there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And there is a second. Madam Secretary, then let's have a roll call vote.
Thank you. Voting on item 10A with a first and second, starting with Director Conroy.
Aye.
Dorsey.
Aye.
Engardio.
Aye.
Garbarino.
Aye.
Giudice.
Yes.
Grossball.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Maston. I believe we lost Director Maston again. Moulton Peters,
Yes.
Parr,
Yes.
Rabbit,
Aye.
Rodoni,
Yes.
Safai is absent, Snyder,
Aye.
Stephanie is absent, Thier,
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill,
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran, First Vice President Cochran. We've lost Mendocino and Del Norte. President Terrio.
Yes, the north of
Thank
the
you.
state is cut off. Yeah.
Thank you. We have 15 ayes.
We didn't secede,
Thank
we
you.
just got cut off.
That's right. 15 ayes is enough to get the item through. Madam Secretary, the next momentous item on the agenda.
Thank you. We're going to move on to item 10B, and that's the action to terminate the suspension of board procedural rules and policies for COVID-19 and related emergency actions, and to delegate to the general manager the authority to make transit service level adjustments through March 1st, 2024. Dennis's staff report's on page 71, and I'll turn it over to Dennis to just say a few words.
Thanks, Amaret. Just to remind the board, it's difficult to fathom, but 3 years ago when the pandemic hit, our world was turned upside down. We took appropriate immediate actions to protect the public and protect our employees. At the first board meeting thereafter, the board took an action to suspend all board procedural rules and policies to allow us to be nimble and responsive to whatever came our way during the pandemic. The board took that action with the proviso that they would revisit it each month. In each month since, they've taken action to suspend all board procedures, rules, and policies. In a few days, the state of emergency in California will expire. And so the item before you will cease or terminate the suspension that we had of all board rules and procedures. However, it does have one carve out. And the request in the item is that you take action to delegate to the general manager the authority to make transit service level adjustments as necessary and appropriate to address shifting ridership demand and community needs while complying with all laws and within the allowed budget, with the understanding that any changes would be reported to you each month in my general manager's report. At the Transportation Committee meeting earlier this morning, Director Snyder pointed out that things may start changing rapidly. Just even with public agencies all meeting in person, we may see an uptick in demand for travel in the Golden Gate corridor. So having the flexibility to add service and to modify service is something that I think would be very beneficial. If you don't feel comfortable taking this action, that's understood. But if you don't feel comfortable taking that action, it would introduce several months of delay into any significant service changes or additions of new services that may be necessitated due to changing demand in the corridor. So this item respectfully requests that you give that delegated authority for transit service changes for a period of 1 year, with the understanding that each month staff would report out any changes that we've made. And with that, I'm available to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you for that, General Manager Mulligan. Those of you who were here may recall that it was I who suggested the monthly review of the new authority given to the General Manager. I did this not because I distrusted our General Manager or staff at all, but because we didn't know how long this was going to go. And you know, as you learn from labor negotiations, you come up with a document that does not assume that the person you will be dealing with down the road is the wonderful person you're dealing with at the moment, but it might be an evil genius. And so we established a monthly review, and this is a very gracious way of backing off on that original authority that we granted, and that gives a date certain to the new authority or the extension of authority we are permitting in a limited regard. So are there other board members with questions or comments on this item? I see none. Can I have a motion to terminate the suspension of board procedural rules and policies for COVID-19 related emergency action and to delegate to the general manager the authority to make transit service level adjustments as presented, including the 1-year sunset?
So
So
moved.
moved.
It's second.
There's a motion and a second. Mark your calendars. Madam Secretary, a roll call vote, please.
Thank you. Voting on item 10B with the first and second, starting with Director Conroy,
Aye.
Dorsey,
Aye.
Engardio,
Aye.
Garbarino,
Aye.
Giudice,
Yes.
Grosboll,
Aye.
Hernandez,
Aye.
Maston, is still absent. Moulton Peters,
yes.
Parr,
Aye.
Rabbit,
Aye.
Rodoni,
Aye.
Sefai is absent. Snyder,
Aye.
Stephanie is absent. Thier,
Aye.
Second Vice President Hill,
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran,
Yes.
and President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 16 ayes.
16 works. The motion passes. We have no unfinished business and no new business to report. Item number 13 is communications. I saw no communications listed. Are there any since we received our information, Madam Secretary?
Not as a check this morning.
Okay. That takes us to the end of the agenda, and with no further items before us, my thanks to everyone who attended. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I saw Barbara Parr's hand up for a second first, so you have those, Madam Secretary, I assume. Is there any objection to adjourning? I see none. Certainly, if there are any in hiding, it's not enough to change things. This concludes the meeting of the Board of Directors. The time is 11:12 a.m.